Hi, this is Kadvi Rana from Logistics Insider, and joining me is Mr. Ashish Pande. He's Director Supply Chain South Asia Region, Nestlé. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, first of all, I would like to ask you, how can one manage e-waste in a supply chain?
So I think e-waste is a very complex subject in supply chain because we don't have an organized setup for recycling and managing e-waste. So I think the industry has to be very, very particular about where the waste is generating and then tie up with only the registered service providers who make sure that the waste is disposed of in a very sustainable manner, in a safe manner, and then manages all the compliance requirement that the government has set up. So it's very, very tricky and it has to be handled very, very carefully.
Sir, coming to the next question, as per data, more than 6 out of 10 orders shipped in 2022 were buyers from tier 2 and beyond cities. So, how can we fortify supply chain for the demand coming from those cities, and especially at an era which is, during an escalating disruptions?
Yeah, you're right. We are seeing a lot of growth coming from tier 2, tier 3, and urban platforms. We need to understand that, look, 60%, more than 60% of the population lives in that geography. So, as more and more people rise above a certain socioeconomic condition, they'll be exposed to packaged food. And when they get exposed to packaged food, they would start ordering the packaged food, and similarly for electronics and other things. So, the supply chains of companies have to start focusing on this. This has to be a clear priority. There has to be a business case on how to improve the reach. We have to synergize and work with like-minded service providers and industry people so that first we are able to access the market. Second, we are able to create value for money and product portfolio which is relevant to those consumers, and then ensure continuous supply. So it's a challenge, but all of us are working on it, and we see huge growth potential from this region going forward.
Sir, in your first question, you also touched upon sustainability, and we talked about e-waste. But now I would like to talk about the cargo operations, wherein fuels and the gases released by the all the trucks and transportation in particular. So how are you at Nestle, or maybe if you can give your opinion on how should companies take that sustainable drive and also address the gap, because we see companies are moving towards sustainability, but there's still a gap. So, if you would like any efforts from the government on sustainable transportation of cargo.
So I think first effort has to be from all the companies, because if you move our goods, we have to make sure that the truck is full. If the truck is half empty, then you're creating more greenhouse gas effect, right? How can you design your supply networks so that the truck or the total transportation is minimized, right? So more you move, the more carbon footprint is. So these are the basics that every company has to do. This sounds very simple, but when you get into details, you find that this is not the case. There's a lot of waste there in terms of the supply networks and the way we are transporting. So that is the first step I think every company has to take. Government has to help in terms of creating the infrastructure, in terms of making sure that there's a multimodal transport strategy which is available in the country. India, we spend a lot of time and effort in moving goods. For example, an average truck moves only 300 kilometers a day in India. If you go to Europe and US, it's 800 to 900 kilometers. So for me, if we can make our transport movement simpler and avoid all the checks and paperwork that we have, still, it can be the first starting point. And then use of multimode, railways, waterways, and then coming down to battery operated trucks. Today we don't have that in India. We have only very small electric vehicles, but we can start small, and as it grows, then the hydrogen powered. So we have a lot of work to do to move towards sustainability and net zero that we are talking about.
Sir, lastly, we are here at ISKCON 2023. What is the event, holding for the industry, and what are you particularly taking away from this event today?
I think it's a very important event because all the like-minded companies and service providers are coming together. So first thing is collaboration. The more we collaborate and we know each other, the better it is. I've met some nice people who are who have a lot of potential to work with our company, and I am taking that forward. I also met a lot of my peers from the industry, and we are talking about the challenges that we face. Most of the challenges are common, so it's also a forum where we can find solutions together, collaborate, and learn from each other. So I'm going back with a lot of hope of improving my supply chain in the company.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Hope you enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.